Hello and welcome to Chapter 10, Lesson 3. Today we're going to be talking about the hundredths place, which is this place right here. So again, we have the tenths, which is like dimes, and the hundredths, which is like pennies. So if you see something that's like $5.99, tenths place, hundredths place. And we know the hundredths place is like pennies because it takes 100 pennies to make $1. Let's get started. Drew has a 100-piece puzzle. There are 4 corner pieces in the puzzle. What decimal represents the part of the puzzle that is corner pieces? So first off, we're going to shade the 4 corner pieces. So if we look at this puzzle, we notice there are 100 tiny baby squares. Okay, so that would be 4 are shaded out of 100. Okay, 4 out of 100. So that means 4 goes in the hundredths place. Now to hold that place value, right? Like if I want to write the number 400, I don't just write a 4. I need to have 2 zeros after it to hold its place value in the hundreds. Same goes for the hundredths place. I need to show that I have 0 tenths and 0 ones. So I would say this number as 4 hundredths, right? So 4 out of 100 or 4 hundredths of the puzzle is shaded. Our corner pieces. Okay. Example 2, it rained 13 out of the past 100 days. What part of the days did it rain? Write it as a decimal. So first we're going to use the model and shade in 13 squares. So this would be 13 out of 100 are shaded, 13 hundredths. The model shows that 13 parts out of 100 are shaded. The model shows 13 out of 100. 13 out of 100 equal parts is 13 hundredths. Or, ready for this? 0 point. Now we notice there is 1/10, right? 10 of them are covered in, so I'm going to have 1/10 and 3 hundredths. So 13 hundredths. And notice the 3 from the 13 is in the hundredths place. So if I put it into a place value chart, I have 0, 1, 1/10, and 3 hundredths. We would say this number is 13 hundredths. Okay? So some kids get confused and think they need to, let's say we have a number like this, and they think they need to say 7 tenths, 8 hundredths. And that's not true. We just look at that number. That number is 78. And then I look at what is the last digit. This 8 right here is in the hundredths place. So I'd say 78 hundredths. Okay? So it rained 13 hundredths of the days. Sorry, the 78 is a little random. But good to talk about. Write each decimal. Okay, so here I have 2 out of 100. So that would be said 2 hundredths. So that would be 0 and 2 hundredths. Okay, so here I have 10, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. 26 hundredths, or I could write it as 0 and notice I have 2 tenths. 6 hundredths. 26 hundredths. Okay, over here it says explain why pennies can be used to model hundredths. Because 100 pennies equals $1. Same it goes for hundredths. I need 100 of them to make 1 whole. Okay? Okay, so here we go. Write a decimal for each part of the dollar shown. Here I have 25 cents. Here I have 5 cents. 5 cents. 5 cents. 5 cents. So 25, 30, 35, 40, 45. I have 45 cents here. So if I was going to write that as a decimal, I don't have any dollars. 4 tenths, 5 hundredths, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45. Okay, I can't remember if it was 45. So this would be said as 45 hundredths. Notice I'm just adding the THS on the end when I am talking about decimals. If it's money too, I should put a dollar sign. Okay, let's look here. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 61. Okay, so I have 61 cents. So if I was going to write that, I would say 61 cents like this. And I would write it as, 61 hundredths. Okay, just want you to see the words. What I'm saying is kind of all making the connections between words, number form, and money form. That's what we're doing right now. Dexter bought an apple. He paid using the coins shown below. Write a decimal to show the part of the dollar that he paid. So 25, 5, 10, 1, 1, 1, 1. So 25, 35, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44. 44 cents. Okay, so I would write it as 44 cents. If I was going to write it out in word form, I would write it as 44 hundredths. Okay. Daniel had a social studies quiz. He answered 87 out of 100 questions, exercises correctly. Write a decimal to show the part of the quiz that Daniel answered correctly. Okay, so 87 hundredths. 87 hundredths. If I was going to write this in word form, I would write it as 87 hundredths. Now, do I need a dollar sign here? No. So I'm not talking money. So he answered 87 hundredths of the questions correctly. Model math. Claire drew a model of 5/10. Explain how Claire could change her model to show how many hundredths are in 5/10. Okay, so I have 5/10. Let's do this using fractions. So if I want it to be hundredths, what did I multiply by? 10. So to make equivalent fractions, I'd multiply the numerator also by 10 to get 50 hundredths. So if I was going to write this in decimal form, I would write it as 50 hundredths, right? And so I'm just cutting each tenth into 10 equal pieces, which would get me to 100. So basically what that means is 5/10 is equivalent to 50 hundredths. If I were going to draw this out using base 10 blocks, right, using those squares and the whatever else, then they would be equivalent. Ginger and Caleb each have 77 hundredths of a dollar. Ginger does not have any quarters. Caleb doesn't have any dimes. Explain how many of each type of coin each of them might have. Okay, so each have 77 cents, really, is what they each have. Ginger does not have any quarters. So Ginger could have, right? We don't know because there's many possibilities. She could have 77 pennies. Let's do that. She could have 7 dimes and a nickel and a penny. She could have 77 pennies, right? Caleb could also have 77 pennies. Okay, Caleb could also have, let's see, I'll do Caleb's below and I'll do Ginger's above. Caleb could also have, he doesn't have any dimes, so he could have 3/4, which get him to 75 cents, plus 2 pennies, which get him to 77 cents. He could have 15 nickels plus 2 pennies, right? I mean, seriously, like there's a lot of ways to do it without any dimes. This one could have, Ginger could have 7 dimes plus a nickel plus a penny, because she just didn't have any quarters. She could have the same thing down here, 15 nickels and 2 pennies. So really there's lots of different combinations they could have. So we'll just go with this. All right, here's a little test practice. Which decimal represents the part of the model that is shaded? Let's take a look here. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tenths plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 plus 7 hundredths. So that would make 57 hundredths, which is this little guy right here. 57 hundredths. And just for good measures, there it is written out in words. 57 hundredths. All right, that's all I have for you today. Thanks for watching. Let me know if you have any problems on your homework.